Thank you for listening to the BJJ Brick Podcast. We'll be bringing you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and good times. We hope to flatten your Jiu-Jitsu learning curve, help you get the most out of your grappling ability, and meet your goals both on and off the mat.
Welcome back, my friends. Episode 91 of the BJJ Brick Podcast. Today we have a great show. We have an interview with Danny Alvarez, so definitely stay tuned with that. But as always, I'm here with Byron. How are you today, Byron?
Gary, I'm doing great. I'm sure the listeners are excited to hear from Danny. He's an extremely active competitor, is how I would describe him. So he's got a ton of information about competitions, and then he also helps out the average person who doesn't care to compete so much. They just want to train and get better. So we've got a lot of great advice. This is actually a two-part interview here. We're lucky it went a little bit long, so we made it into two, and so he gave us lots of good information. So
yeah, and he's got a really great way to frustration, to combat frustration when you're trying a new move. So I think it's great advice, and it's definitely going to help us all out. Indeed.
Who doesn't get frustrated at any point in time, and off the mat or on the mat, and he's got a good way to help you with your on the mat frustrations, I think so.
Yeah, I get frustrated every time I roll with Byron. Yeah, frustrates me. Nothing works.
Gary, is it frustrating when we get ready to go do the podcast and I don't hit the record button and I got to stop you and restart it?
We actually had to do that just now, but no, that's actually not frustrating. I'd rather do that than get armbarred.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll keep that in mind. Well, good news. We also have Bernardo Faria was on the podcast a while back. He recently won double gold. At Worlds. He won his weight class, and then he won Absolute. And I figured, what a great time to replay his quote.
Definitely, yeah. Let's hear it.
Let's pull that one back up from the archives. If you haven't heard his interview, oh, man, he just has fun while he's talking to us about jiu-jitsu, man. So go back and check that episode out. I believe it was like episode 49, right around there. But let's get the quote with Bernardo on, and we'll get the rest of the show going. So here we go. Here's Bernardo Faria.
My favorite quote is shooting, I don't know in English really well, but shooting for the moon, and even if you're wrong, you're going to be between the stars.
Oh, that's good.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know how to say it in English really well. But
so it's like you're shooting for a really big goal, and even if you miss that goal a little bit, you still accomplished a lot. Is that kind of
exactly?
That's good. Do you think about that when you train and you're training for like a really difficult goal?
I feel all my career is about that. My goal, my biggest dream was always like being the open class world champion. And I didn't get it yet, but doing this journey, because I had this goal, I won my division 3 times. I got second open class. I got 2 times third place. And I don't know if I'm going to win the open class or not someday. But I'm going to still try, and I know I'm going to get many other good titles during this journey, and maybe I'm going to win. Who knows?
That's good. So you are, it's open class is like shooting for the moon, and no matter what, like you're accomplishing many things as you go for that goal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's probably my favorite quote.
Well, good. Thank you. Gary, Bernardo Faria says, shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll be amongst the stars. And that was just so awesome to hear him months before going to the Worlds and actually accomplishing his goal, man. That was awesome. Did you hear his voice? He didn't know if he's shooting for that moon, though.
Yeah, that's what's awesome. Yeah, he came on here. He said, that's his goal. He's shooting for that, and now he hit it. And you just put that goal out there. Even if for some reason you don't make it, you're still learning. You're still in the stars. But he hit it. That's awesome.
Yeah, I like the. It was real. Like he wanted to do it. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to try. And I've gotten close a couple times, but I still want to make that goal. Like you can really feel it in his voice that he really wanted it, and he knew it was possible, but he didn't say that he was going to go do it and it was going to be easy. He was working for it. That's what he's shooting for, and that's his whole career is shooting for the moon. And look, he hit the moon.
He hit the moon. And that's what's awesome. Like you said, he didn't really just come out and say, hey, I'm going to get it. I'm going to try for it. I've been really close. He worked his butt off, and now he's celebrating. That is awesome.
So I like that quote. We should have used it a few weeks ago right after he won, but it kind of slipped my mind or whatever. I don't know, Gary, but I'm so happy to get that on there and rehear his voice. And like that's one of the – I mean,
Like you said, he's so positive and happy all the time when he's talking, and it's contagious. It's like anybody listening to that, just listen to him talk. You're gonna get in a better mood after you hear him talk.
Yeah, if you go to the website and put it in the search box, either Bernardo or Faria, he'll pop right up. I believe it was like episode 4950, right around there. But it's so fun to listen to him talk about jiu-jitsu and his passions and just a little before he actually accomplished his big goal. That's cool. Gary, before we get to the article, we got a few things to cover here. If you want to get more action from the BJJ Brick podcast, or at least get it on a consistent basis, you could go and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, or you could go to our website or Facebook page and put your email address in there. And we'll send you a email every week about the show notes and what's going on the podcast this week. So it's an easy way.
Yeah, so definitely that way you'll never miss it. You'll always get your email on Tuesday reminding you about it. Always good to have.
Yep. And it's been a while since I reminded people, but there are some that also gives you access to some free audiobooks that I've recorded. Go to the very bottom of your email that you get from us, and there'll be a link to a Dropbox folder. Click that and open that up. There'll be a few things in there that you could check out and listen to. Just stuff that weren't quite right for the podcast, but similar in nature. Maybe not a full episode, but people have enjoyed checking those out.
Yep, and those audio clips are part of Byron's audio book, Your First Year of Jiu-Jitsu. We have a link on our webpage. Definitely check it out. It's only $11.99. A wealth of information there from Byron, and we're getting great reviews on it. Yep,
it's just a way. It's a little over 2 hours long. If I were just to talk to you about what to expect during your first year, what I would tell you basically. I really appreciate everybody who's bought it, and they've helped support the podcast. It's not, and unfortunately, Gary, it's not free to do this and put this thing together. It does take a lot of time, but there's also some. I set up like a little bank account with this thing, and it's slowly been dwindling, and finally, it's like it's stabilized, so that's kind of good.
We tried a lemonade stand, but that didn't work too good. So Byron decided to try his hand at an audiobook, and it's doing better in our lemonade stand.
We got to do the lemonade stand at Open Mat, man. That'd be good.
I think we'd do better there, but I think a lot of people were scared off with us in our gis with the belts on, and Byron was actually wearing MMA gloves. I think that had a lot to do with it.
I was throwing the lemonade with my gloved hand.
Yeah.
Just like in the vacation movie.
No wonder it didn't work too well.
And they were $8 lemonades with no alcohol, so it was a rough go. Yep. It was a good experiment, though, and we didn't make any money.
And when somebody came up to pay us, Byron pulled guard.
Always got tricks up my sleeves there, Gary.
Your gi sleeve, yeah.
My gi sleeve. I could think of another name other than gi sleeve. That didn't sound right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Gary. Well, the music is telling us that we've got an article of the week, and who better to hear from than our friends
at Jiu-Jitsu Times. We'll put a link to it on our page here, but Jiu-Jitsu Times article this week is by Hickson Gracie. Should put more value on learning than on competing with your training partner. And what do you think about that, Byron? Put more value on learning than competing with your training partner. Because I see it both ways. I see a lot of people post on Facebook, hey, I tapped out my training partner 17 times today. And then I see people going the other way, either going too slow or really trying to learn.
Yeah. I think on my Facebook feed, people tend to post more about, like, as far as training goes, hard training, I really got pushed today, and those are always positive. But exactly right, Hickson Gracie. You should put more value on learning than on competing with your training partner. You're
That's
there
the key
to
word,
learn.
Training partner. It's your training partner, not your competition partner.
Yeah. I mean, you're there to learn. You're not. It'd be like if you were at, back in grade school, and we're both taking a test, and we're not cheating off each other. Your grade, I want you to do well,
we can
Gary.
take a test without cheating?
Yeah. I want you to do well, and you want me to do well, but I'm not competing with you. As long as there's not a curve. Not the best example in the world, but
yeah. But I tell you, if we went to school together, I'd be competing with you.
You'd blow me out of the water, man. Gary's a smart guy.
I was in kindergarten 3 years in a row.
You were the smartest kindergartner they had by that third year.
They just held me back for the wrestling team.
There's a lot on here. Of course, we get competitive while we roll. That's how it is. You want to perform well. You don't want to go in there. I go in there tomorrow and train. I don't want to go in there and just not do well. Every time I roll, sure that happens some days. But just let that roll off you. But we're competitive in nature. But it's important to not have that be your focus.
Yeah. I like where he talks about you should minimize your natural talents. And you think about sometimes you have somebody who's really, really strong, just an incredibly strong person. But he's talking about minimize your talents by limiting yourself. You will find yourself in much worse situations, and you're forced to think your way out using techniques you would not otherwise have used. And what I think of the really strong person who could probably bench press his way out of a situation, just pick you up and throw you across the mat. But by putting yourself in that situation and minimizing your natural talents, which is your strength, you now have to work on, your underhook, your feet position, off balancing the guy on top to get that sweep instead of just using your strength. And I really like this. I love that article, and I love about minimizing your talents there.
Take away some of the attributes that you have all the time, and work on just the technique. The attributes, the speed, the flexibility, the strength, whatever you have that's going for you, try not to use that. Put that away for a little while and work on the technique. You could always add that stuff later.
I like he also says, Hickson says, you learn when you are having fun, training in a smooth and gentle way. You'll need to work on improving your technique until you're comfortable in any situation. So, have fun, smooth techniques, and keep improving, and then you're going to be comfortable no matter where you're at, throwing off a very well-executed move.
Look at Bernardo Faria. Okay, I know when he's actually training, on the mat, he's pushing himself very hard. He's
shooting for the moon.
But he's also, like when he walks into the door, I know he's having fun. He's got a smile on his face. He's enjoying what he's doing. That's that passion. You need that fire that'll help you do better and help you, shoot for that moon and land in the stars.
Yep. And then the key part, the second to last sentence. Only after you've done all that we were talking about before are you ready to take your natural abilities off the shelf and add them back into the game. So even though you have that, you're very strong, go back and start using your technique. Have good sweeps with just technique, and then once you're comfortable with that, you've got it down, then bring your strength back in there. You're going to be devastating on the mat with great technique and incredible strength.
It's kind of funny when you're grappling with somebody, and I know, Gary, you've grappled with guys. You had a couple of training partners that were a lot bigger than you, like 100 pounds bigger than you, and they could not use strength sometimes, and it's like, wow, this is kind of different. But still, them dialing it back, it still affects the game. They're still that much bigger of a person, like that. Like the mass is still there, so really that still affects the way things are done. But just being able to dial things back and work on just doing it correctly, and when you know better than me, when somebody's that big, they can make stuff happen if they really want it to happen. But in the long run, they got to learn the technique, and then they'll be able to compete with guys their own size.
Yeah, and it's terrible too when they do get that technique down. You're always used to just getting bench pressed off, but then all of a sudden that technique comes, and you're just like, man, what just happened? And next thing you know, like Hickson says, they now use that strength and technique together in a deadly combination.
Yeah, so check out the article. There's more to it. We didn't read the whole article. It's on jujitsutimes.com. The article is written by Kit Canaria. It was written by a little while ago, back in October last year, but still a great article and very relevant. And it's got a cool picture of Hickson jumping, on the beach, so that's cool. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes, guys.
So definitely check it out, Jiu-Jitsu Times. Byron, you know what time it is.
Jiu-Jitsu Times?
That was a good one.
I get one good one a week.
Yeah, no, it's time for our interview there with Danny Alvarez.
All right, let's roll the interview. He is the most interesting grappler in the world.
His De La Riva guard was so strong that his opponent's mom fell over. He has never gotten mat burn, but sometimes you can find burn marks on the mat. Neil Armstrong watched him roll and said it was the most amazing experience of his life.
I don't always listen to podcasts, but when I do, I prefer the BJJ Brick podcast. Stay sweaty, my friends.
Okay, my friends, I'm happy to bring Danny Alvarez to the BJJ Brick podcast. Danny, thanks for jumping on the phone with me.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? Hey, welcome. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm excited. You've got a ton of competition and coaching experience that we're happy to hear about and learn from, and so I'm really excited to have you on the line here.
I'm excited too. This is pretty cool. So I have a lot of knowledge. I've been doing it for a long time, and if I can help anybody out with any little thing, detail, any type of advice, I'm always down to do that. So this is great.
All right, I'm excited to get this thing started here, and could you give us a little introduction about yourself, a little bit who you are and where you're from, and that sort of thing.
Okay. Again, I'm Danny Alvarez, second degree black belt under Professor Bruno Bastos. I've been training. I started in the mid '90s. Like everybody else, saw Hoist Gracie. I think I just graduated at the time. I was 18. I think that summer, and then later on that fall in November, was the first UFC. Saw that. Where I come from, I'm originally from Saginaw, Michigan. I reside now here in Arlington, Texas, and I've been here since 2001. So I spent 26 years in Saginaw, Michigan. And, at that time, obviously, across the country, there really was no jiu-jitsu academies like there is now. So the resources were kind of hard to get the information, besides like Grappling Magazine or some sort of VHS tape that you bought or whatever. So I pretty much just started with some friends, doing backyard grappling, living room grappling, drilling in the living room, no mats or anything like that, just trying to, mimic what you saw on the TV, stuff like that, on the videos. And there was one location, he was a black belt in Taekwondo, but he did do a little jiu-jitsu. I think he's a blue belt. So he started teaching that. So I kind of did that a little bit, but then really that wasn't that many classes available. So, it's just, again, like I said, whenever I could, with some of the guys that I met, we would kind of get together. That was kind of like far in between, it just really wasn't like a set thing everybody was doing every week. But I was hooked and I was in love with it. I was like, man, I really like this. I wrestled before. I wrestled in high school, and I was like, man, this thing this is great. It's like an end game. Besides just pinning somebody, you can actually finish them and make them basically say uncle. So, time went on, and I really wasn't getting anywhere. I was working for General Motors at the time. Just worked on the assembly line in Saginaw, and they were offering transfers to Arlington, Texas. I came down here for a vacation one time for a week, and Carlos Machado was in the area. And at that time, there was only probably 3 schools in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and Arlington wasn't that far away. And I was like, man, I just really want to do jiu-jitsu, And plus, I got tired of shoveling snow in Michigan, so I was like, go somewhere a little hotter. But
yeah.
Eventually, I took the transfer. I moved to Arlington in 2001, And ever since then, I've just been on the grind, because it was like, for me, it's jiu-jitsu heaven. Like, it was like, it's real jiu-jitsu, it's like real instruction. Like, it's obviously at that time, with Carlos being in the area, like, you're just not going to get closer to the lineage or to the source than that. And so I started learning under one of his brown belts that was in the area. And, man, like I said, I've been on the grind. And then I was working for General Motors here in the Arlington area. I had just got my black belt in 07, and I was they were offering the last buyout of the to quit the company or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I just think it's my time to make that move. I just didn't want to do. I was just doing something that just wasn't benefiting anybody. I was just building Yukons and Tahoes and stuff like that, and I knew I had more to offer than just what I was doing in my daily job, and I hated it, and it sucked, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. I just gave up a great paying job with great benefits, and at that time it was, and I made the jump. I burned the ship, left it behind me, and just went all in and opened up Alvarez Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and now we're here in 2015. So it's been great. School's doing great. I have a lot of great students, a lot of great support behind me, and I train every day, every morning, every night. I really don't take a break, because that was the whole purpose of me doing it in the first place. So it's kind of like a quick where I started, came from, and to where I'm at today.
Was it hard going? You got your, so if I'm understanding this right, you got your black belt, and then shortly after that, you were able to get out of your, I guess, real job, and then do jiu-jitsu. Was that hard doing that, like having a family and that sort of thing? Was that stressful? Yeah,
it was tough, because I had a daughter, I had Danielle, and at that time, a lot of people in the jiu-jitsu community, they know Danielle Alvarez, she competes high level. She's and now she's purple belt. She fights in the adult feather and lightweight division. Of course, we travel everywhere, so somebody's listening probably has seen her or talked to her, maybe even competed against her. But at that time, she was just I think she's 21 now. Maybe 7 years ago. But when I first moved and was training, she's like 7 or 8 years old, and so I had to balance the work and the training and still do the family things. And at that time, I was playing basketball and volleyball and just other stuff, or other school activities. So I had to work my schedule on, but I made sure I got my 4 days in. The schedule wasn't plentiful; that I didn't have that many options for training, and so I made sure that I got at least 4 days in a week, no matter what. Like, if I had to rearrange a day, then I switched it up. But I knew my days, and I went on to those days like clockwork, and nothing stopped me from doing it. And I was relentless with that, because I just realized where I came from was so deprived, and I just didn't have the resources that I wanted. So then now I'm in a place where I have the resources. Man, I was like, I don't know, this is never going to go away, and if it does, I want to make sure I get whatever I can out of it before it does happen, and luckily it didn't. Everything was great, and then time went on. I got my black belt. I was under a different instructor at the time. Went under one of Carlos's black belts, and then in 2010 I switched to Professor Bruno and went under him. But yeah, it was hard. It was hard to leave my job. It was a scary thing to do. Yeah. My dad worked for General Motors. My grandfather worked for General Motors, and now I'm working for General Motors. And it's just, but that's not what I wanted to do. I just couldn't do another. I think when I did quit, I had 11 years in. I just couldn't see myself doing another 19 years in the place doing just that. I wanted to break the cycle, and I just something inside me just knew, like I knew I could do what I'm doing now, and I just had to just believe in myself that I could do it, and I did have the support of my family. I talked to them about it and sat on it for a while, and then I just And I went ahead and did it and cut ties. Now, when that clock struck 12, we had a time until we had a chance to go and pull our name back out of the thing. They gave us 1 week to change our mind. And I remember being at home, and it was a Saturday night, and midnight was the time. And it just seemed like the time was moving so slow, like it was like tick, tick, tick. And I'm just looking at the clock, like, man, I can run over to the plant, and go pull my name back out. And I was just like, man, part of me was like, man, are you sure? And, it's just kind of tugging back and forth. And I was like, no, I got to do it. I have to just stick to my guns on this and I just got to jump, man. I got to jump. And I did it. And it's the best thing I've ever did. It was the best thing I ever did.
That's crazy. So, Danny, I'm guessing you didn't go to sleep. You said at midnight was the deadline. You weren't going to bed at like 11 o'clock and waking up the next morning. You were awake thinking about it, and it seems so weird. So many times, like a major life event happens with no notice, and there's nothing you could do about it. And then on this time, when you're changing, you're doing this, you've got a week notice, and you could change it at any point in time. So you really are trying to make the best decision, and that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was tough because I had that opportunity to go back and change my mind and stick with the company and keep my benefits and my, and make, I was making like 60 plus a year, 67,000 a year. We worked a lot of overtime. And at that time, where I was making like $30 an hour, insurance was phenomenal at that time. We'd just go to the doctor and show them your insurance card and then no co-pays.
Wow.
It was great. My daughter was covered and everything. And, now I'm going from that to now I'm going to just cut the ties, and now my wife's got to pick up the other end of that. And, hopefully we can make this thing work, which is a scary thing because, all those years I was the one that took care of everything. I made the most money, took care of the mortgage, took care of it. And, and the way I did it, I played my money right. I'm very responsible when it comes to my money. So it's like I never really quit my job because she never had to pick up any loose ends, like anything that it's like she never had to kick in more than what she was already doing before I quit my job, and she still has ever yet to do that, So the way I did it was I did it right because I said, "Well, I'm doing it. I got to do it right. It has to work. It must work because my family, Danielle, depends on that. If it was just me by myself and I was a single guy, then then obviously there's a lot less pressure. But when you have a young kid at home and the insurance, is coming through you and everything else is coming through you, it's a pretty scary feeling to know that, hey, like you don't have that security blanket anymore. Now you got to go create it, And so, that's pretty much what keeps me going every single day is, I got to make it work.
Yeah, I hear, I've interviewed some athletes that were like, yeah, I quit my job and I slept on my friend's couch, for 6 months, and then things started to turn around for me. But you don't really have that option when you have, people that you're responsible for and that you care for.
Right.
Could you?
Right. I had a house, I had a mortgage, a car, I had all the bills, and those things still had to get paid.
Yeah.
I didn't pack up and go sleep somewhere else. I'm still in the house now that I've been in when I first moved here and when I quit my job. So,
wow.
Nothing. Like I said, nothing changed. Nothing changed.
You mentioned that you wrestled in high school. I'm trying to get a visual of your game that you like to play. Could you describe the style of jiu-jitsu that you like?
I think because of the wrestling background, the practices and the training, it's from a long time ago. It's an aggressive style. I don't have like a slow, methodical, kind of take my time type of thing, like it, obviously I'm a smaller guy, I'm like 5'7", 145. I fight in the light feather division. And, so obviously I play guard, but when I sweep, I'm trying to crush once I come up on top, applying that good wrestling pressure on top and trying to smash and just make your world, really uncomfortable underneath there. That's pretty much it. I have, I utilize a lot of different games, from time to time I'll switch from, whatever it is that's out there, I play around with it and try to get good at it, learn the ins and outs of all the techniques. I don't just do one thing, I veer off into other, outside, inside the heel, X guard, one leg X, like butterfly, like deep half, just spider, lasso, like just pick a game, and I like to play around with all of them. It's for myself, and obviously to be able to, share with my students and explain to them, when this and this happens, you go here, you go there, and if I don't do that, then obviously I can't help them. So I'm not doing those kind of things. But for sure, when the style I have is a very aggressive style. Do
you have a couple of set things that you do in a more serious competition that you're going to gravitate towards?
Yeah. I mean, come tournament time, like it's always the A game stuff. Again, it just depends on like what I'm playing with at that time, and if it's working really well for me in the gym against my guys. I have a lot of tough guys. And they know my game, and if I'm still able to pull it off on them anyways, and then I'm taking that to the tournament, and I'm going to use it because I know if I can get it on this guy that's a wrestler, or this guy's like really hard to sweep or hard to pass, and I'm passing their guard with certain techniques, that most likely I'm going to get that when I get out there if I can get into my game before my opponent's able to establish his game. So, I always have, and like I said, it always changes. It's not like the same thing, all the time.
Yeah.
So, when I go out there, I definitely have a set thing that I'm trying to do. You hear some guys, I just wing it and just let my jiu-jitsu flow. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't do that.
Yeah.
I have a specific thing that I'm trying to accomplish when I'm out there. A specific sweep, a specific pass, and a specific end game that I'm trying to get to, so that I can, if I can do that, the more comfortable I get, in my game before the other guy does, then most likely it's going to turn out in my favor.
How often do you compete?
Well, for example, I'm here at my desk. I got 9 medals already this year. We did the Europeans this year. We did the Pans this year. I fought in Abu Dhabi, the Abu Dhabi Pro Trials this year. I fought at the Abu Dhabi Pro that was in Abu Dhabi. Then I fought in Florida for the trials. I just won the Brasileiro. Actually, I won that one against Felipe Costa in the finals. We did San Francisco, and we did the New York Open so far this year. So we got Florida, Abu Dhabi, Irvine, Lisbon, Portugal, San Francisco, New York, and then Sao Paulo, Brazil. And last year, I have just as many, if not more. The year before that, I think I had 16 medals altogether. I fought 16 different times. You see, last year, 2013, we did the Boston Open. We did the Pans. We did the New York Open. We did the Vegas Open. Did the Rome Open. New York Open again. Europeans. The Toronto Open. Vegas again. American Nationals. Master Worlds. Miami Open. The Asian Open. And then Nogi Worlds. That was in 2013. And then last year, Europeans again. Houston Open. Boston Open, Paris Open, Toronto Open, American Nationals, Nogi Worlds, Asian Open, Pan Nogi, and then Master Worlds.
Wow.
So,
Danny, it sounds like you're counting how many tournaments you do by counting the medals. Is that what's going on there?
Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, those are my specific medals that I just named off, and like, you know, that's black belt Master 1 and Master 2. You know, it just depends on, you know, who's at whatever open. You know, sometimes I have to fight Master 1 feather. Sometimes I have to do Master 2 feather. Sometimes I have to fight down. I have to, you know, cut the weight to light feather, fight Master 1 light feather, Master 2 light feather. But yeah, I mean, on top of that, you know, as far as the team goes, you know, we've done we flew back out there for the kids pans. We just did the, you know, all the local tournaments here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you know, where I'm at. So, you know, we get after it, you know. You know, right now I got a ticket on hold for the Rio Open next month. So we're pretty much likely going to go to that. Then we have Austin Open coming up. The Dallas Open is coming up. So, you know, I'm getting my team ready for those, you know, for those tournaments. So, and of course, you know, a lot of the reasons too is Danielle, you know, my daughter, she's, you know, she's like, hey, Dad, I want to go here, go there. And I'm like, all right, let's go. You know, we'll just get the tickets and we'll do what we got to do. So we're very, very active, very active.
Yeah, that's got to be an amazing experience for your daughter to get to travel and do this from such a young age and compete at that high level. Yeah.
I wanted to give her, you know, just something that, you know, my dad just instilled like a long time ago. You know, he didn't do jiu-jitsu. It was just, you know, his dad told him and he told me, and it was just, you know, you'd always do more for your kids than what you know, what we did for you, you know. So my dad did a lot for me. He did what he could for me growing up, and then I'm in a position now where I can do all these things for Danielle, and so while I'm able to do them, I don't know how long, you know, that's going to be. Hopefully it just doesn't stop, but at the moment, I'm able to do these things, so we're taking full advantage of the opportunities to go and do these things. So, I mean, I just sent her to California to train with TC Ribeiro in her women's camp for the whole month in San Diego, and so she was there for like 5 weeks or something like that, you know, training with like some of the best girls also, you know, over there. And so, and then we're just kind of planning out the rest of the schedule. Last night, she's like, Santa Cruz Open is coming up, the Vegas Open. Well, she's just naming off all these things. So I was like, you know, yeah, let's plan them out and let's just go try and attack them more. Because she's kind of like at the end of her purple belt, you know.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it for her. And now it's time to eventually go on to the next level. But before we do, she just has a few more goals in mind before we step out of purple belt for her.
Wow, that's cool. That's awesome to see her competing so much, and then she, like you said, she's going to a month-long, you know, training camp. Great opportunities for her, and she's amazing on the mat already. But sounds like she's just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah. I mean, she's had a great year. I mean, she won the Pans this year, purple belt lightweight, and she won the Europeans, purple belt lightweight. You know, she won the Abu Dhabi Pro Trials. She won the free ticket to go to Abu Dhabi. You know, San Francisco Open, New York, you know, like whatever she's got sitting up here on the desk. Also, she's won that. So she's she's taking advantage of it too. She knows the opportunities. Yeah, sometimes, you know, she's young, so you don't realize like how great she has. You know, what position she's in. You know, she doesn't. You know, her job, you know, she does work here at the school, help me teach the kids' classes. You know, she doesn't have another outside job outside of that. So just a few hours a week she does that, and then she goes to UTA, University of Texas Arlington, you know, and I pay for that 100% on my own. So, you know, taking care of that. So she's very well, you know, she's lucky, you know, and sometimes I think she forgets how lucky she is until somebody comes around and reminds her, like, hey, like, you know, I would kill for an opportunity like that, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, but that's a whole nother.
Yeah, but it's great that she's a lot of kids have a lot of opportunities and they don't do anything with it. But you're giving these opportunities, and she's really taking them and taking full advantage of everything that's in front of her there.
Yeah, I have. I mean, one of the worst things in the world is wasted talent. And for a long time, I wasted my talent. I just didn't know where I was at in life, and just until I found jiu-jitsu, and I was like, man, I got like this is what I want to do, and this is my thing. And Danielle she's just not like somebody that's just doing jiu-jitsu and likes it. She's very good at it. If you go to IBJJF ranking, she's like, she's ranked number 1 or at least number 2, in the world at that. And so I remind her all the time, like, man, you have a gift, but that window of opportunity to take advantage of this gift is very small. You don't have forever to just time to play around with being indecisive about things, and like we're going to do it, we got to do it. We got to do it now, because who knows what's going to happen later on in life. I have students here that that are very talented young guys, man. 18, 19 years old. They've been with me for 3, 4, 5 years. And girlfriends come into play, and now they got to work, and now they're working 12 hours, and they're graduated, or they're going to graduate, and they're just, the priorities are different now. Before that, it was all jiu-jitsu, but now, girls and work and, other stuff comes into play. And so now the focus is, they're losing the focus, they're losing sight of the goals that they set forth. And, I can only help them if they come to class. And if they're not here, I reach out to them, message them all the time, and if they don't show up, I can't do that. But Danielle's different. She lives with me. She's here all the time, so she has no choice. She has no choice.
You guys travel so much. Could you kind of share maybe a story or two about a traveling difficulty that you had to overcome, or any advice you have for somebody who's going to travel and do jiu-jitsu?
The language barrier, man, is always tough. Like the Asian Open, we went to Nagoya this past November, October, and then the year before we went to Tokyo. Of course that's always rough, because you just get off a plane and you're just like trying to figure out how you're going to get to the hotel, which is not close. And you take these trains and subways or whatever, and once you get to the hotel, then there's somebody there that speaks English, but normally I remember the first time we went, we come out of the subway and we got our luggage, and she's got like 2 luggages, and I got a couple, and our backpacks, and it's at night, and we just walk out and say, here's this huge city, and we have no idea where we're at. We're trying to pull over cabs, and they'll pull off on us because they're just like, they don't understand what we're saying. And it's always tough. We went to where else we go? Just whoever. It's always just like a thing there. Brazil. We don't speak Portuguese, even though I should. As long as I've been doing it, my coach gets mad at me. Like, man, I always get beat up on when it comes to that topic, because I should know Portuguese, but I don't. So we go there, and it's just tough unless somebody speaks English or whatever, just kind of getting around or whatever. But besides that, for me, I'm a very healthy guy in what I eat. I'm very disciplined with what I eat. I have set things that I like to eat. And when we go to other countries, like Europe, for breakfast they drink coffee or espressos and like these little baguettes with a little piece of meat and some cheese or something, or some type of pastry. And I do oatmeal and egg whites and stuff like that, and they don't serve that kind of stuff. So man, that's rough for me, like, because a lot of times when I travel out of the country, I'm cutting weight.
Yeah.
And so, pastries on every corner, and not having my stuff to eat, it's so tough. Like, it's horrible. Like, it's like we went to Japan and we were trying to cut weight, and they're not serving anything like that. Like, it was like we go to the restaurant and you can't even understand the menu, and it's like, it's just full of high sodium, it's soups, it's just sushi stuff. Like, I just, we got to be really careful what we eat, to cut the weight. And a lot of times the hotels, depending on, we try to get nice hotels and, get something that has a nice fitness center because we have to run a lot. We got to do a lot of cardio to cut the weight. We just don't really sit in the sauna and just kind of like hopefully it melts off. We actually, we do a lot of cardio to cut the weight. Most of the time I'm running 3 miles in the morning. Then I'll run 3 miles at night to maintain the weight cut, and sometimes the places don't have the treadmill that it shows on the thing, so that sucks. We gotta run outside, or it might be raining, or just those kind of things. It's really hard to. When you're at home, you gotta cut the weight, no problem. But it's when you go out overseas or out of the country, just to cut the weight to make sure that you're feeling good and strong and you're not depleted. It's just really hard because, the other countries don't eat or have the things that you like to eat over there. So that's, to me, is the toughest thing that we have to deal with, Danielle and I both.
Yeah.
It's rough. Some of the students I have that go with me, they don't cut the weight. They just fight at their natural weight. But, for me, depending on what division and who's in the bracket and, this or that, it's just better that I cut the weight because I'm in between. So, like, for featherweight, it's 154. I walk around like 145. So with the gi, I'm like 148 or something, Well, I'm like way underweight. So it's better that I cut the weight. But then again, I still have to cut to like 136 to make the 141 weight class. So, it's always tough. To me, that's the most difficult thing that we deal with traveling.
Yeah, cutting the weight with a completely different diet does sound difficult. How do you deal with jet lag?
Tokyo was pretty tough, man. That Abu Dhabi was tough to deal with. I think we left during the day, and it just seemed like it never turned to night. For 24 hours, it just you just look out the window and it just never got dark. It seemed like because the direction, I don't know, it's just weird. But yeah, normally, the best thing for us, we try to find somewhere we can go roll, sweat a little bit, or something. We'll have to run, sweat, just to, because you hold a lot of water, when you're flying, my ankles and my feet get all big, and my hands and everything. I can tell, that I'm holding a lot of water. So, the first thing we like to do to kind of help with that is just to go find a mat and get some training in, and go run to deal with that, But it's tough because, you're talking maybe 14-hour flight or even longer, and, then you got to find where your hotel's at and get there, and man, you're tired, and it's just, but, maybe when you get there, it's not time for you to go to sleep, and then if you do go to sleep, you're not going to sleep when you are supposed to sleep.
Yeah.
So it's rough, but to me, the best remedy for that is just to get some sweat in, and it always seems to work out pretty good for us. It just kind of relaxes us, and you just kind of feel a little bit better after that.
Yeah, I agree. You gotta, even when you're home, it's good to get sweaty every day and get a good workout in no matter what you're doing. You mentioned a while ago that when you first started training, you would, you get a hold of like a VHS tape, and it was, you try to figure out everything that they said. There was, very little information out there for you to learn with. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, that's not the case at all. Not only do they not have VHS tapes anymore, but you go online, you can find anything you want. You could find, many people teaching the same techniques, and new techniques come up all the time online. How do people deal with that overload of information? What advice do you have for that?
Yeah, you pretty much said it, man. You just pick up your phone and have at it, man, and just overwhelm yourself. I have students, they got all these DVDs, they got all the whatever's out there, instructional. They're looking up stuff, and every day is like, it's like a new toy. They want to come in and play around with some stuff, and they never really develop like a specific game or get good at that game because they're always changing it so much. And so it's a great thing to have those resources at your disposal like that. Like just, you're waiting in line somewhere and you're bored. I'll just make use of my time and study some matches or something, or watch some instructionals. But on the other end, you can't get good if you're always changing your techniques too often. So, I always tell the guys, let's pick some stuff. Pick a game and develop it for a while and work on it. And get the ins and outs and really understand everything about it before you go on and start playing with something else. But so fast. The worm guard, and then tomorrow it's this, and then tomorrow it's that. So, they never really refine the techniques. They don't really get good at them. And so for me, I don't think that's a good way to learn. It's a great way to have the information when you need it, but you need to hunker down and get good at something so that you can sweep anybody or pass anybody with whatever it is you're working on, no matter who it is, because you worked on it so much that they can't stop you, even when they know it's coming. And that's when you have the technique down. But if you're just all over the place every day, every other day with something new, you really just don't really, at least in my opinion, just don't have, you're not really going to get really solid at learning that way, So it's great, but it's just how you use it.
So it'd be better to use it if you're going to want to learn like a leg drag pass, to research that move a lot and stay in that topic versus research 9 different passes and one of those
get good at the leg drag, like for instance, you pass with the leg drag, let them recover your guard. If the guy likes to play De La Riva, then this is how I'll do it anyways. Like, I'm working on a pass, and it's a specific pass. I'll try to grab the partners that I know that are the people that are playing those types of games so I can utilize that pass, because sometimes people use different guard games that the pass I'm trying to work isn't going to work on them because they're not feeding me the move.
Yeah.
They're not giving me the position. So I'll try to get the ones that are going to feed me the position and see if I can get it to work. And if it does work, I'll release them, let them recover their guard, and let them get their grips back and try to pass it again. I pass it again, I'm going to release them again and try to, all within that one round. Or if I get swept, I try to pay attention how I got swept. Maybe I stepped too far this way, or maybe just whatever, and try to pay attention to what exactly is happening, But sometimes you see use them if you pass, and then the guy just holds the side control and don't want to let the guy go, and then okay, but that's not what you're working on. You're not working on can you hold the guy in side control. You're working on a specific pass. So let's get back to let's get some reps in working on that pass, but in a live a live situation. For me, whatever I want to work on or get good at, I always try to get to the guys that are good at it and do private lessons. I've done private lessons with, G, Cobrina, Lucas, all kind of guys. Like his name, we always have people come to the gym, or whenever I'm out of town or for a tournament, I'm trying to get that resource. And some people, they don't want to pay the money, but man, if I want it, I'm gonna go get it. I want that information. I want it to come from the source, because the thing about the YouTube videos and instructionals is you're looking from the outside in, so you're not feeling the grip.
Yeah.
Or what they did. It's completely different. You get the idea of what they're doing, and it does help, and you can use that. But when you actually grab the person that's on the YouTube video, you're having them show it to you, and then you're like, man, I can feel something that you're not going to feel watching an instructional. So for me, I'm always trying to get to those people and get that information firsthand, then bring it back and drill it, and then I'll go back and watch their instructionals, or maybe I'll watch their matches when they hit the move and can see, okay, that's where that. But like, you know, I can give that scenario, and everybody that I've done personal private lessons with, and I paid money to, like, I said, okay, I see you do this sweep to everybody. I want you to do this sweep. And so I think that I know how to do the sweep because I've been trying to use it, watching, and then I go to do the private lesson. I'm like, that's completely different than what I'm seeing on the thing, because you're doing something that I can feel that you just can't get by watching. You see what I'm saying? So it's you have to be careful with that also. You know, it's good, but you also, it's how you utilize that information. You know, is very important.
Yeah, that's cool. I think you've touched on multiple things that were good about training. Getting the person who's really good at the technique to give you a private lesson and learn from them. You get that immediate feedback of what you're doing wrong or what they're doing differently than what you could see in a video. You feel it. That's great. And then you also mentioned grabbing a training partner that is good at something that you want to work against. You know, like if you wanted to work your butterfly guard passes, you're not going to train with every random person that night. You're going to find the people who have really good butterfly guards, pass those guards, and then once you pass, you let them right back to the butterfly and do it again. Like that, those are awesome ways to train, I think.
Yes, like to me, like that's, you know, like I have a student, man, he's killer at the bear and bull, man, like he's killer. So you want to get good at defending it, roll with him. Like, you know, you got some defenses you want to, like, try it on him. And if you can stop him from doing it to you, then it's good. Then you're ready to take that to a tournament, because, you know, this kid that I got, he's sick at it, you know. And so it's like, you know, I have a guy, he's got like a great one leg X guard. If you allow him to get underneath you and shoot his leg underneath you and pull your leg up, 9 times out of 10 he's gonna sweep you. So, you know, you need to, you want to work on some X guard defenses, you need to try him on that guy, because if you can get it to work on him, then, you know. But I also recommend, I kind of use this example with, like, with my students all the time. Like, you don't want to, and this is for all the newer guys and girls that are starting, you know, whenever you learn something new, you want to try it on somebody that's just as new as you are, maybe a few more months than you. You know, you don't want to try something new on, like, you know, a really good purple belt, and you're like a 6-month white belt or something, or a brown, you know, I'll go try it on a brown belt. They're going to shut it down. You're going to see it coming a mile away. You're going to get discouraged. You're like, well, that don't work. You know, you want to, I always tell the parents or the students, like, you always want to, like, hunt. When you go hunting, you never hunt before, you know, you go hunting for, like, squirrels and rabbits, you know, like a little small game. And then as you get better, then, you know, you can kind of do, like, your Rambo interpretation and hide up in a tree with, like, a wooden stake with your bandana and jump on a wild boar's back and kill it, you know, like, you're experienced now. You know, you got, like, you're good at it. So then at that time, then you go to the purple, brown, and black belts and use the move that you develop. But when you're first trying to learn it and get good at it, you want to try and get good at it against somebody that's going to at least give you a fair shot at attempting it. You know, you don't want to do it against somebody that's, you know, that is going to shut you down right away and then get you totally discouraged, you know. So you want to start off with certain students first, you know. And to me, that's a great way to just, you know, to develop, you know. But I don't, at least that's just kind of how I use my own training, you know. There's things that I'm playing with and I'm learning, I want to get better at, you know. I'll grab some of my blue belts, you know, even some of my pro belts, depending on, you know, how often they train or really how good they are, and then if I'm sweeping them or passing them with the move that I'm trying to get good at, then I'll take it to my tougher guys. You know, I have a lot of those, you know, but I'm really not going to try it on the first time on one of the best guys I got in my gym. You know, it's just not the smartest move, you know, until I get it developed. You know, once I get it down and understand it, then I'll take it to those guys and use it. But like you said, I want to work 1 or 2 instead of 9. You know, I'm not trying to. I'm not going to confuse myself. You know, then you get confused, or you're mixing them together. You know, you're putting steps in the wrong places because you're taking them from this one and putting it into the other one, and I see it happen all the time. You know, it's something that happens quite a bit.
Yeah, that's it sounds like a great way to avoid being frustrated is just to start with the people who are about your level, maybe a little bit higher, and try to, or if you're at a high level, start with the lower level people and work your way up and develop that technique and avoid the frustration and you'll avoid the thoughts of that technique doesn't work. You know, I can't armbar anybody. Well, you're trying to armbar, you know, brown belts and black belts and you're not at that level. You're not going to armbar them, right? You know, but that sounds like a good way to take a lot of frustration out of learning jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, man. You know, when you're working on with those other guys, you know, you're working defenses, you know, and counters with those guys, you know, and if you're learning something that you don't even understand yet, it's just not, you know, it's just not that smart to take it to those higher level guys first. Take it to the other guys, you know, go play it with them for a little bit, and then you start to say, okay, you did this, okay, I can just, you know, and you have time to make adjustments off mistakes. You little better guys, like the high level guys, you make a mistake, man, they're gonna make you pay for it. There's just, you know, it's gonna be hard to recover, you know. But you roll with guys your level a little better than you've been training a little longer than you know. You can make a mistake on the move, you can recover, get back in the fight, and go at it again. But man, you try that with one of the better guys in the school, then you know they'll make you pay for it, you know. So it'll help a lot with that. You know, like I said, I do that myself. That's pretty much how I train.
Cool.
You know?
You've coached countless students competing and things like that. What advice would you have for a student doing their first tournament?
Once you make that commitment, then you need to let your friends and family members know what you just committed yourself to. Because the biggest problem that I see and that I have like now, guys want to do a tournament and then they need to train a little more than often, right? Because, you know, when you're not really training for anything, you just, you know, you come 2-3 times a week, you know, get your training in. And if you're married or you got a girlfriend or, you know, boyfriend or whatever, you know, like you're a woman training, you know, they're used to you being gone maybe, but now you're taking extra time out of the schedule, and now they're kind of getting, like, jealous of jiu-jitsu a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Even though you say that they're not, they are, they're lying. It happens all the time. And now it creates arguments and fights. Hey, it's supposed to be dinner night, or normally on this day we go here, or we do this on this weekend. And oh, coach, I can't come tonight because of such and such. And I'm like, well, what's the excuse? You know, I'm like, man, you gotta be kidding me, man. Like, we got the Austin Open coming up, we got Dallas Open coming up. Like, for example, we got Austin Open coming up in 4 weeks. And you know, I sent a message out to my team. Okay, we got 4 weeks. Okay, yeah, granted, this is 4th of July week, you know, and so it's going to be vacation a little bit, maybe out of town or, you know, whatever. But come next week, we're grinding, man. Like, you need to make a commitment. You made a commitment to yourself that you paid the money and you signed up. And now you need to let your friends and family members know, like, hey, you're not really going to see me like you were seeing me because I got work to do. You got to do extra mat time, you know, get some extra cardio in. If you don't do it, you should. Some strength and conditioning. If you don't do it now, you should. If you don't study film, you should. You know, proper rest. You're making sure that you're getting the right amount of sleep every night or naps in between the day if you can. I mean, depending on your work or school schedule, however it is for you. You need to set yourself up to win as much as possible. And if you're not doing those things, then don't sign up. Like, don't sign up. I tell my students, don't sign up. They're going to get their feelings hurt, but I'd rather you go spectate with a team shirt, a hoodie, and a hat and everything, go support the team, than to go out there and misrepresent yourself and the team because you didn't train properly.
Yeah.
You know, and you see it all the time. Like, guys want to just sign up because they see everybody else sign up, and they get all excited and they want to join in. And, we want you to join in. But we only want you to join in if you can make a commitment, you know. And some tournaments are more of a commitment than others. You know, we just had a tournament called Europa last weekend or the week before. Last weekend. And, it's a local tournament. A lot of guys from around Texas come up, you know. But it's not Worlds, you know. If it's Worlds, man, you need to be training every day, multiple times a day. You need to just kill it on all levels. And you just tell your wife or your significant other, like whoever, man, I see you after Worlds. You know, like it's that big of a commitment. Like it's something that you need to take seriously. If not, you're wasting your money. You know, you're wasting your airfare, your hotel, you're going to go do all that and then just to go get a T-shirt, you know, so you can walk around and sit, you know, like you don't want to go out in the first round. Why? You know, if you train properly and you do things like the way you should make it to the podium. If not, you know, to the end goal, take first place. But you have to set yourself up to win, and you can't set yourself up to lose. And if you don't do the things like I just mentioned, you're setting yourself up to lose, and that's just the honest truth. And sometimes it's a hard truth. Some want to do the extra work, and then some flat out just don't. They just want to go compete, and it doesn't work that way. You know, you need to do the extra work. You need to put in extra time in all areas, and probably the biggest and most important is the mental preparation.
All right, that wraps up our first half of the interview with Danny Alvarez. We mentioned it before. He's going to talk to us about competing. He talked about traveling and some difficulties he's had with that, you know, and getting over the language barrier, getting over jet lag, and finding good food to eat while you're out of the country. That sounds, I never thought of that as something that could affect what's going on, but it definitely would affect anybody traveling internationally, and if you're not used to the foods. But getting over your frustrations, you know, if you're learning a technique for the first time, Gary, who do you do that technique on? Who's it good to train with?
You know, you're going to do that on somebody who's not as good as you, not as good at that technique. That way you don't feel, you know, you have a bunch of shortcomings when you're trying to do that technique. Somebody just doing great arm bars from the guard and you can't do it. A lot of times you will get frustrated. So pick somebody not as good as you or at the same level as you.
Yeah. And also try to find somebody who's good at it and try to get tips from them. You know, see what they're doing, but definitely don't. If you're a blue belt and you're trying to learn your armbar setup, the purple belts and up are not the people that are going to help you the most as your training partners. You're going to have to dip down to the white belts and maybe some of the blue belts and really try to figure it out with those students, and then start creeping your way up. You know, but it should help with the frustration, because it is frustrating to work on something and not be able to perform it. That's part of jiu-jitsu, though.
Yeah, I see that all the time. People trying to perform a move, you get frustrated. It's not an easy sport. The movements aren't normal for somebody who's just getting into the sport. You just got to keep on doing them over and over again. And like we said with the article there with Hickson, we have to have fun. Let's have a smile on our face. Let's keep practicing. Practice with somebody your own skill level or worse, and you're going to slowly get better. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but keep plugging away.
Gary, have you heard the good news about next week's show?
No, what's the good news?
It's part 2 of our interview with Danny Alvarez.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Can't beat that.
So, you know, obviously, I think everybody really had a good time listening to part 1. Part 2, there's more. We just pick up right where we left off and we just carry on. So, stay tuned, I guess, right?
Definitely stay tuned. Don't miss next week.
Gary, if somebody has a question and they want to ask us, you know, about jiu-jitsu, about the podcast, or tell us, you know, that we're not doing a good job, or we're doing great, or they got something to say, how would they say it to us?
You know, you can send us an email, bjjbrick@gmail.com. If you want to give us a review, definitely hit it up on iTunes, Stitcher Radio. Give us a review. Hopefully we earned a 5-star. If not, give us what you think we should get. And if you make the review funny, send us an email at bjjbrick@gmail.com or on our Facebook page, and we'll get you out a BJJ Brick gi patch. And we like it. We like the funny reviews. We enjoy them, and we may even read it on air.
That's right. We do. Occasionally, we'll read 2 or 3 of them at a time on the air, so we kind of let it build up a little bit. It's also a great honor when you tell a friend about the podcast. I mean, that's a big deal to us, and we really appreciate it. When somebody emails us and said, "Hey, thanks for doing the show. I like it a lot. I've got so many." One other person at the gym listening, or a few other people, that means a lot to us, that you recommended the show, they checked it out. Like, man, that is cool.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome. We love it when you share, tell your training partners about us, tell your significant other, anybody, and we really, really, really appreciate that.
Yeah. Like if you're in a long car ride with your spouse and they don't do jiu-jitsu,
they're going to learn to like jiu-jitsu.
Or hate us.
They'll probably hate us.
Hate us because they ain't us, right?
Yeah.
That was some quote from some movie. I forget what it was from. But next week, Danny, he gets pretty deep into the importance of a schedule. Whether you're competing once a week or training once a week, how important that schedule is to you, or if you're getting ready to compete, how important it is to keep to your schedule. And it's for the serious competitor. When you compete and you want to perform like Danny, you've got to sacrifice some things off the mat in order to train the amount that he does. So it's interesting to hear his schedule, what he expects of people on his team as far as a competition team, and what he expects of his normal students that train, as much as they can, but as much as they can is once or twice a week, and he does have students that train once a week, and they get better. They're able to do that. So very interesting stuff next week on that.
So definitely tune in. Don't miss this episode.
Gary, before we let everybody go, they've already checked out the audiobook that I've made, your first year in BJJ. It's $11.99, and all the proceeds go to support the podcast and what we're doing here. We appreciate your business if you've were able to help out and hopefully learn from the book. But Gary's got a new book coming out, an audiobook. I'm super excited about this audiobook. Gary, are you ready for this one? I know
What's the name of this audiobook, Byron?
Peanut Butter Jelly Time. What happens when it gets real in the cafeteria? Gary, you are a legend for what happened in the cafeteria. Let's hear a little bit of advice from your audiobook you got.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can go down in the cafeteria. I mean, a lot of fights. I remember when I was it was either a freshman or sophomore, I had a milkshake on my lunch tray, and I bumped into a big senior football player, and I dropped the milkshake all over him. And I was lucky I was alive. I think it's because he knew that 20 years down the road I was going to start training jiu-jitsu, so he decided not to mess with me. But this is a great audio book to help you in case there is, peanut butter and jelly fights, anything in this cafeteria. And what I'm going to do is we'll show you a clip of one of my first students. He's a 2-stripe white belt in lunchroom jiu-jitsu, and we'll show you a clip of well, I'm sorry, he's not a 2-stripe white belt. He's a 2 pairs of shorts white belt. And we'll show you a clip of what a little bit of training did for him.
I think I know what you're talking about. You'll have to. We'll put the clip on the website there. But I think that was on jujitsutimes.com as well.
Yeah, everything's on Jiu-Jitsu Times. As we said earlier, check it out. It's a great site.
We'll put a link to that video Gary's talking about on the show notes.
Yeah,
I got to rewatch.
Like I said, that's my two pairs of short white belt.
But what everybody doesn't understand, and that this book is it's jiu-jitsu, but it's also kind of some judo where you switch things around. From what I understand, when that kid, the big football guy, bumped into you and spilled his shake on him, he actually somehow, Gary, you ended up getting him to buy you a new shake. Instead of beating you up, he went back and got you a new shake, man. That's phenomenal. That's the kind of stuff that Gary's putting in his audiobooks. That's why they're taking so long to come out.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, these things aren't written. it's mind control is what is put into this book, which is tough to get into an audiobook.
That's true. We're excited about this audiobook that you're making and so many others that we've shared.
And if you do buy it, we even throw in an extra pair of shorts so you're ready.
You don't want to get your top pair of shorts messy.
Yep.
That's the first thing on the list, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, it's been fun here. We always tend to kind of head a little bit over to the side there on the end of the show, but we hope you guys enjoy it.
And I blame Byron for that.
Yeah, I always like to throw random audiobooks that Gary might be making at him and see where he takes it, and he's usually pretty good. So fun as always on the show here, Gary.
Yep, we appreciate you listening. Tune in next week.
Stay sweaty, my friends.
And don't forget to shower.
Thank you for listening. I hope you find the time today to roll. After all, the best way to get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.